All right, let's start. So very warm welcome from my side. My name is Stefan Kraft and my fellow colleague Milan Lötsch, and we want to present you how we as SAP leveraging our SAP Focused Run to ensure system stability, performance and security. So I will guide you through the first part, so how we do this in the enterprise cloud services. This is a customer-facing unit at SAP. So to provide you the RISE area in the sub-private cloud area. And the second part will be then provided by Milan, and he will then talk about how our internal IT is then making use of the SAP Focused Run. So coming to the ECS part, so just to explain you who we are. No? So SAP Enterprise Cloud Services accelerates and simplifies customer business transformation by running their SAP ERPs on our cloud infrastructure, so also including hyperscalers. No? So it's not only in SAP-owned data centers. So this is to allow you as a customer to turn into cost-effective, intelligent enterprises. Our portfolio comprising of private managed cloud deployment options for RISE with SAP and full SAP ERP value-adding SAP Cloud Application Services that empowers you to run a modern, intelligent ERP system in the cloud. So just to give you an idea how our key figures are looking like, so we are currently managing about 120,000 systems, and 80% of them are managed in our hyperscalers. So namely Google Cloud, Azure Cloud, AWS. So we host here about 170,000 servers worldwide. We process more than 800,000 services each year. And of course, this number is from 23, and we already reached this number by end of August this year. So system availability is really high, so we guarantee our customers here a very high system availability, and also the memory we take care of for the customer systems is quite impressive with 28,000 terabytes. So, let me take you on a journey about our where we came from, and so how we developed over time. So if I look on the very beginning in 2013, so we launched the HANA Enterprise Cloud Services at this time. So you know we made also some evolution in the names, and here we started to begin to standardize and automate, which led then into foundation for scale. So 3 years later, in 2016, we reached 500 customers at this time, and customer engagement and delivery organization merged into one organization called at this time Managed Cloud Delivery. May you remember that if you were a customer at this time. So then, if we look further then down the road, so our services we provided our services in SAP data centers, moving away then from doing this in the customer environments, and then further on, we continued to with our enhanced security and compliance features. So we are here NIST certified and have also several other certifications in place. So, and steadily growing our robust service portfolio here. So coming closer to today, we had a high degree of automation at this time in 2019. So already at this time we provided our service automated by 96% of automation, and at this time our customer base grew up already to 1,000 customers, and here we continued with our reference architecture that ensures stability and performance. So that means we ensure that customers will go into a stable environment if they decide to move into enterprise cloud services. So then 4 years back, so our delivery and cloud application services were decided to provide out of one hand. So I will elaborate a bit on cloud application services a bit later. And so then if you look then the past 3 years, so we had even further evolution here. And so if you look then on last year, it ends up then in higher automation, so security compliance as mentioned, and also new technologies we introduced, like enterprise threat detection, which we also take into consideration in our portfolio. So if you look on our portfolio, you are quite aware. We have RISE with SAP S/4HANA Cloud as a private edition. The same can be used also in the so-called tailored option, and again then also the same tailored option then, but for customer data center, so that we take care then in your own home area. Plus, as mentioned, the SAP Cloud Application Services, which is a value-add service on top of the portfolio we have seen before. So now making finally the jump. So of course, this whole portfolio also includes then monitoring of the customer systems. And here we monitor the full stack of the customer system. So starting downwards from hyperscaler data center up to the SAP basis, I would call it. And then above, then we have the application and business process monitoring, which is then in customer hand or can be then consumed as an additional service. So, and here we see that we have then also respective monitoring tools in place. So for the infrastructure layer, we're using Prometheus, and for our database and SAP basis area, we're using Isinga as a backup solution for our SAP Focused Run, which is our main monitoring tool. So also here we had a quite interesting journey. So when we started with the whole monitoring, so we started with SAP Solution Manager and Nagios as a backup solution, and so in this time we, with the constant growth we had also to scale up to 6 solution managers, which were regionalized at this time to deal with the growth here. So in 2016, we saw that this will not scale up anymore. And with that, we decided to go into a so-called pre-revolutionary step to SAP Focused Run, which was the so-called simple run system, simple run manager. Also, this was a co-innovation which we had together with the SAP Focused Run development, and this resulted in, at the end, in the SAP Focused Run as we know today. So, yeah, today we can say we have very high degree on automation here, and also very stable operations on it. So as we all know that it covers a wide solution range, we also make use of advanced features, but I will show this also a bit later. So yeah. Then this is also our standard for production and non-production systems of the customer. So we monitor the whole stack of your customers. And of course, we deliver the EWA reports, and also quite newly, not only for productive systems, but also for the non-productive systems now. So if we look on the KPIs currently, so we use currently 5 focused run systems to cover all customers. So this gives you an impression how big we are meanwhile. So we support here more than 30 solutions. So also wide range, not only the SAP standard, ABAP, HANA, you know, but also some funny things like Team Center, or also an open text area, which we also support here. We have more than 150 checks in place to cover the wide range of metrics we have, and to make sure that these systems are monitored well and that we can get the most issues in regards to availability, performance, or exceptions. So, yeah, to give an idea how many alerts we get every year. So since beginning of the year, more than 80,000 alerts have been reached us, which we dealt with. So as you have seen, we have 5 productive focused runs in place. So to give you an idea how our structure looks like. So we have a 3-tier landscape where we have one development system and then 2 quality assurance systems, and then above then 4 productive systems. And beside that, we have for our cloud application services an own landscape, which is 2-tier, where we look then for the additional value-add services and provide them from there. Yeah, to give you an idea about our monitoring portfolio, what we are using. So currently in the application and system monitoring, our major use case is of course system monitoring. Now, this is our bread and butter business. So this is something we have to deliver, which is contractual aligned. But beside that, also health monitoring is well in use here, also for specific requests from customers. And also the job and automation monitoring is currently in planned state, so that we want to roll this out also for all customers. If you look for the alert and notification management, here we use then the alert handling, all level 1 use cases. Processing of the alerts happens then in a different system, so we don't use the alert inbox in SAP Focused Run. On the analytics part, we make quite well use of the whole dashboard area, as we have seen in one of the sessions before. So we use the operations dashboard, the OCC dashboard, tactical dashboard, and currently for the system anomaly prediction, we are in a proof of concept, which we want to roll out also by end of the year. So here we look how the prediction models are working to get the most benefit out of it for our customers. And yeah, for the operations automation, we also make use of the guided procedure framework to a certain extent, and we use here the automated system health checks as well. So this covers almost our whole portfolio which we have. And with that, I like to move over to the SAP Cloud Application Service area. So, yeah, first of all, let me summarize what SAP Cloud Application Service in short, CaaS, stands for. So this comes into play if you want to leverage SAP to improve and run your SAP environment. So SAP provides application services on top of RISE for the private cloud customers. So you can pick and choose the right building blocks for your specific needs here, and all added services are co-termed with the underlying RISE contract here. So I'm not sure how many RISE customers we have here, but for those it's included. Yeah, from the service area we look here and we see that we have CaaS run and manage. So that this is, for example, if you want to monitor beyond the standard monitoring we offer, and also some additional additional services then to in the governance security area, so you will be supported then in your governance topics as well as in the compliance area. And of course, there are also some advisory services which can be used to gain more performance out of your systems, for example. So how does this complement to the private cloud standard monitoring? So as we introduced earlier, the CaaS monitoring focus on the application and business process, so which we have seen in the stack before, and also into the SAP basis stack to a certain extent. Hereby, the CaaS Advanced Application Monitoring provides additional business-oriented monitoring and analysis of SAP private cloud components as well as the BTP public cloud. So this might be also interesting for you in regards to the Clean Core initiative, so that this can be monitored here as well. So you as a customer can make choices to enhance the technical system monitoring with customer KPIs and additional business-oriented performance metrics. So with the CAS monitoring complementing our private cloud standard monitoring, customers can achieve end-to-end monitoring without the need to implement and run such a monitoring by themselves. So you can make use of this additional services instead of monitoring your own stuff then. Yeah, so with that, I'm at the end of my presentation. Is there any question? That seems not the case. Then thanks a lot, and handing over to you, Milan.
Thank you, Stefan. So now me, also another SAP employee. Well, we don't have the same kind of fabric here, but we are both SAP employees. But I'm working purely internal for the IT organization of SAP, which is now called CPIT. So our, I think we can say only customer is SAP itself. But I mean, my role is similar to any other employee in an IT organization for a customer out there. So this is why I'm now telling you the story of how we use Focused Run at SAP IT, or CPIT as we are called these days. Okay, so usually when you talk about a topic like this, you start with some impressive KPIs. I mean, we have a number of ABAP systems, which might not come as a surprise, us being SAP. We have databases and everything, but now after Stefan showed his number, obviously this is very small in comparison. Well, nothing we can do about that. But we use Focused Run, which might also not be a surprise to you, because we drink our own champagne, to use this moniker. The bread and butter is obviously also for us system monitoring. We have to keep the lights on. We are not a manufacturing company. We don't have to make sure that trucks can leave the plants. But still, we have our obligations. Usually the quarter-end closing is the most important one. And this is what I will refer to in the upcoming minutes. But as that, system monitoring is very important, obviously. But on top of that, we do multiple things with Focused Run. That's not the only use case we use. We have configuration and security analytics in place. Broadly, almost, I would say, across the board. We use health monitoring, operations and automation as well. We do integration monitoring, real user and synthetic user monitoring. And on top of that, we also have a number of self-developed tools where we just realize that there are some gaps that might be worth filling. One of the examples is we have a small program where you can choose responsible colleagues so that if something goes wrong with a certain server, it's very easy to know whom to contact, and also use this for other things, like, which is the second example, the task planning tool. So if you have just a regular activity like patching a database, patching a system or something, we use this self-developed tool to have a workflow with approvals where required, and also to send out meeting invites, which is something that people tend to appreciate, that you have in your calendar. Okay, here, system will be down, and that's easy to do. Okay, so this is the self-developed part. Focused Run, I think we deployed it very early on, I think in 2018, I would say. No, I'm not completely sure about the year, but we have a two-tier landscape, production and development. But on top of that, we also have a failover system. So as I said, during quarter and closing, we couldn't have the production of our main monitoring system fail. In this case, we would switch over to the IOX, which will cover the most critical systems, but not all of them. But yeah, in contingency that you need if you're an organization like we are. We cover everything. All ABAP systems, Java, database, HANA databases have to be connected to our Focused Run. That's a general requirement. Alerts, we do have alerts, unfortunately, or fortunately. I mean, you can see it both ways. But what we do with those is we use the outbound API to put them or push them into a self-developed tool outside of Focused Run, which is we call Alerting Cockpit, which will then be consumed, or not consumed, but used rather, by our premium support, which is a 24/7 operation team here in Germany. General approach for system monitoring, we try to be as generic as possible, so that the system templates we try to keep simple, but this is not set in stone. If there are very specific requirements, we deviate, but we try to keep this to a minimum to just make sure that the efforts aren't getting too high. And here, again, just to give you a rough idea, I mean, how are we structured? We have certain tasks and teams that take care of that. So there's basically just the operational tasks that happen quite frequently, integrating new systems, general ticket processing, and then we also send out daily and weekly check emails. So this is might be something that people would think, okay, why would you need that? Email, that's very old-fashioned. As it turns out, people tend to like them, or at least they claim they like them and read them. But yeah, so this is why we still have them. And this is, I mean, this is taken care of by a dedicated run team. Then we have, you could say, the next level, where design decisions are made. So new standards, how do we want to integrate a new kind of system? How do we want to, when there are new monitoring capabilities, do we want to use them, and what do we think might be a good use of them? So this is a second group that is taking care of that. And then there's the development team. As I said, we have custom code, so this needs to be taken care of. And obviously, since we drink our own champagne, I really like that, we also have to have certain alignments with the development of Focused Run. And again, this might not come as a surprise, that we within SAP can talk to each other quite easily. And usually, I mean, we think it's good. If there should be bugs, we should be the first one to find them. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, we have a good connection there. Actually, when we started, 7 years ago, we even used, before official releases were there, we had transport from the development in a sandbox where we tried it out. But as it turned out, after some time, we couldn't really keep up with the pace. I mean, we couldn't test quickly enough to really make any use of this, so we stopped doing that. But we are still very early on with patching. Usually if a new version is released, I would say after a week or so we start with the development, and then later on we patch the production, maybe a month later. Usually, again, quarter end closing and deliveries dictate the pace. Okay, so this is an example of how this is probably the daily email that is being sent out, yes. This is being sent out to the responsible list. Again, there our self-developed tool comes into play. It's based on a system categorization with the t-shirt sizes, as you do these days. And people, it's just a quick idea, okay, this is how your system is behaving and whether you should do something about it. And this is done, as I said, on a daily and weekly basis. Now, security patches, or more like the existence of those or the implementation status of those is checked with CSA, so nodes, also security parameters. We do check with CSA, with configuration and security analytics. And this is an example. Again, it's an email that is being sent to the responsible colleagues, obviously after somebody has created a policy and it has to be applied and so forth. I'm kind of sparing you this part of the journey. But I mean, once the policy has been created and things have been detected, this email will be sent out, telling the colleagues to take care of the patching, usually via email, but also for selected landscape, we create tickets in our internal ticketing system so that the follow-up is easier. And also, I mean, obviously there's also some, how do you want to call it? I mean, you are responsible, so this is the way of us tracking that you actually took care of this task of yours. And yeah, of course, there's a dashboard where you can see the compliance. And as I said, this is done across the board with all of our ABAP systems and also HANA. SAP footprint is checked with CSA, as you can say. Okay, what else do we do? And this is where I come into the area where I spend most of my time, integration monitoring and the other use cases. So we do use integration monitoring. Why would we want to do that? Well, we as SAP have, let's say, changed our business processes or system landscapes in the last, 10 years maybe? So it used to be just one ABAP system or two that communicate via RFC. Now we have external services, we have cloud services and everything. And we need to integrate those. And I mean, this is just basically an example, the childish attempt of a visualization, how this might look like. You have on-premise systems, you maybe have a cloud PI in between, and then you have some software as a service offering, cloud product, as some would say. And those need to integrate. If the integration fails at some point, obviously things go wrong. Something, let's say people couldn't record their business trips or similar issues could occur. And this is why we need to monitor those, this integration, and we do this with Focused Run. So this is the example, although the logo isn't right, for Concur. We have done this to a very broad degree. So Concur integrates with our ERP system, as one would expect. And this integration needs to be monitored. And this we did with Focused Run. So basically we connected all the components that are supported to collect the monitoring data, provide a dashboard on that, and also trigger alerts if this shouldn't be necessary. Concept is pretty much plain vanilla how you do it. You connect Focused Run to the tenants, you do everything that needs to be done, and then you create a scenario. And this is what it looks like, our integration monitoring for Concur. So basically all the components in here, then you have this topography view with an ERP, with the PIs. And if you go further, you can see all the aspects that are relevant for the monitoring. So there's an RFC connection, which seems not to be happy. There are some application log entries that are relevant for this integration. And then there's also the Concur integration order add-on, which is in the ERP system, which is showing some errors. So this is what I screenshotted here. Expense reports, and you can go down even on the ID level, which I'm a bit paranoid here. I'll go through all of them. But eventually you will see here that this is the level that it goes down to. Something could not be posted. And this is usually where I, as somebody who's responsible for integration monitoring or Focused Run, couldn't do anything about it because this is application related. This is purely knowledge or the area of somebody who works with this integration where he needs to step in and do his job, whatever needs to be done to remedy the situation. And this is also one of the learnings that we had with integration monitoring. You need a buy-in from the application team. This is nothing that you can deploy just on our side and then hope that this will work. No. I mean, if there's an error like that, there's nothing we can do about it. This needs to be done by the application team, but still in IT, obviously. For Concur, we also do the job monitoring because there are certain jobs that are relevant in the ERP system. So there we created this scenario where you can see most of them are happy, some are not. So obviously, being German, we always look at the problems first. We try not to be too happy about things that work. And this is the list that you can see for this specific job. So it fails constantly, it seems, or no, it's not failing, but it's showing errors rather. And as you can see, this is probably again another example where the application team needs to step in and see whatever is going wrong. But I mean, what is the benefit for them? They don't need to log in, let's say, every half a day into the system and check their job execution. They can rather just wait for an alert being sent via email. So this is the main benefit. Real user monitoring is also something that we deploy where we can. Real user monitoring is a bit different to integration monitoring, such that, I mean, if integration monitoring fails, not integration monitoring, but the integration rather, if it fails, usually the end user will not really notice all of the sudden. I mean, applications tend not to break at this point. With real user monitoring, this is different. I mean, here we really look at performance data, return codes, and so forth of users using an application. And since we have this hybrid world these days, those can be rather complex. So it might be something that is running in the BTP, and then talking to an on-premise system in the background. And this is also why we use Focused Run, real user monitoring, to combine the data, have the correlation done, and yeah, well, just have it in one dashboard. I mean, obviously, at SAP, we have performance experts, so if it was just an ABAP system, we might not want to use Focused Run, or we might not, well, we have the experts. They would know where to look. But this is probably specific to SAP. But when we have a hybrid scenario, the picture changes, because then it becomes very difficult, because you have to look here, then try to put this into relation to what you see in the ABAP system, and with the Passport, which is the technical foundation for that, this is something that helps. So this is what real user monitoring for us looks like. So here we see all the requests on one system for SAP UI5. Okay, so usually this is where people tend to be shied away because there's so much red, but we haven't configured thresholds. So this is just the default threshold, and that's why it's showing so much red. But this is usually the picture where you really see what real user monitoring can do for you. So basically, you see the front end communicating with the back end, and we would have far more complex examples, but I couldn't be bothered to look them up, where it's even calling 2 or 3 layers to the right to further systems. And this is where it's really helpful, because you get this one picture. Okay, here we spend 76%, so maybe we want to look at this first. Okay, so concluding with an outlook, as you would do, we have Focused Run, as you might have noticed by now, but we also use Cloud ALM. And well, sometimes we had the situation where certain content is only available in Cloud ALM, and we might have wanted it in Focused Run. And this is where we really have hopes into the reverse proxy setup. So far, we only use it for landscape sync, but going forward, we really hope that this will help us to integrate what we do with Cloud ALM in Focused Run or vice versa. So basically just to get one picture and not to have it in 2 different tools where it isn't necessary. So obviously nothing that you would use for system monitoring, but for integration or real user monitoring, this could be a real good thing to have going forward. And kind of referring back to Stefan's initial presentation here, we also do have systems that have been moved to RISE. So far it's 2 landscapes that have been moved over. We expect it to be more, but so far it's only 2. So the question for us was, how are we going to go forward with Focused Run then? Is this something that we will not do anymore? So will we only use the Focused Run? Well, we wouldn't use the Focused Run that is with ECS, but do we still need it, our own, if we have RISE systems? And our conclusion is yes, we still want to have it. And for these 2 landscapes, we did connect it, and we did the connection. I think it's a standard way of doing it. The only difference is we only have the productive client connected, not the 000, so this is the main difference for us, but so far this doesn't really have any effect. Going forward, right now we assume we'll do it the same way with other systems that might be moved. And that concludes my presentation. So that will be the time to ask for questions.
Thank you for the presentation first, Milan.
You're welcome.
It was really interesting to understand how SAP is running Efron. I have more than one question, actually.
Okay.
I saw that you have a Llama integration.
Yes.
Could you tell us which type of the integration you are using for?
There you caught me on the wrong foot. As I said, I'm the integration and real user monitoring expert, so probably something that is
Then the second is, you have first level support, which are taking care for new systems, changes, and so on. Do you have any automation processes which are running
I'm not aware
with
of any.
Efron?
I mean, of course, we have procedures in place where we have a, let's say, script, a manual script. As far as I don't know, we don't have any real automation. I think it's done manually by them.
It's manually.
I think it is, yes. I'm not 100% sure on that, but okay. The ECS guy.
Yeah, actually for our customer systems, of course, we have automation in place. As I mentioned, 96% of all activities are automated. So it means also the build procedures, regardless if it's greenfield approach, brownfield approach. So if you move in, and that's the same here for our internal systems, which are moving into our area now, they will be automatically then provided. And of course, also important to know is that also monitoring will be enabled during the build process. So that's not that the system is there and nobody is watching it. This is an integrated part of the build procedure to make sure that monitoring of the systems out of Focused Run will be guaranteed.
I have some specific things maybe we can discuss after the session. Thanks.
We can do this also offline, yeah.
Any other question to these presenters, great presenters? This seems not to be the case. Then I want to thank you very much, Stefan and Milan, for this great session.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
In the Waldorf room, if I'm not mistaken, which is just a feedback session. So there you can ask us and give us whatever feedback, if possible, related to our topics. So in this sense, we just switch to room once again and then we close the event. Okay, thank you.